Okay, this is Henry Park Primary School 2021 Prelim examination for Primary 6. So I will be going through for paper 1 today, but we'll be selecting certain questions to go through. Okay, so we will start first with question number 3. So the first two questions I will just keep is very simple. Now for question 3, now, which one of the following is closest the reading shown on the weighting scale below? So you're given this scale. Now, first thing, if you want to find the measurement over here, we will try to look for the range. So from 36 to 40, I will subtract off first. I'm trying to find my one interval. So I get 4. And then when you count the intervals or the gaps, from 36 to 40. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 intervals. So if your 8 intervals equals to your 4 kg, you find for your one interval first. Okay, so one interval, your 4 kg, you divide by 8. So I get 0.5 kg. Okay, 0.5 kg means that every one gap here is you plus 0.5. Now I count from 36 to this arrow. You count the gaps. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 gaps, which means there's around 5 intervals. So I take 0.5. I times by 5. I get 2.5 kg. Okay, so 2.5 kg. Then I need to plus my 36. So 36 plus my 2.5 kg. I'll get my 38.5. Okay, means that this line here is 38.5. But you want to find the one that is closest. So the closest to 38.5 will be my 38.6 kg. This is option number 3. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Now, question number 4, I will also go through this. It's actually quite a simple question, but I can see that some students make careless mistakes for question 4. Okay, now express 25 seconds as a fraction of 2 minutes. Again, same thing. Whenever your question asks you to express as a fraction, you must make sure you know where's your numerator and your denominator. Okay, so 25 seconds here must be my numerator. It must be the one at the top. Okay, and then your 2 minutes here must be your denominator. That's the first thing you have to be very clear. Because I can see some students, they put the wrong position for their fraction. And then next thing, once I know my numerator, my denominator, you must make sure that they are in the same units. So 25 is in terms of seconds. Your 2 is your minutes. So how do I change this minutes to my seconds? So 1 minute is 60 seconds. 2 minutes will be 2 times your 60. So it's 120 seconds. So I will take 25 over my 120. And then you simplify your fraction. Okay, so if I simplify this, I should get 5 over 24. Which gives us option number 4. Okay. Question number 5, 6, I will just keep because question number 9. Okay, let's move on to question number 9. Now arrange the following distances from the longest to the shortest. Okay, so how do I solve this question number 9? So I have 9.45 km, 9 km might be 5 meters, and 9.35 km. So when you want to arrange your distances, it's good to change everything to your numerical value. Okay, so 9.45 km. Now 9 km, 95 meters. How do I change this in terms of the number? So 95 meters. Remember your 1 km is equals to your 1000 meter. So 95 meters, I will need to take 95 divided by 1000 to change this to your kilometer. So 95 over 1000 is your 0.095. Okay, so 0.095 km. So 9 km, 95 meters, I get 9.095 km. Then 9 and 3/5 km. Again, same idea. This 3/5 here, change this to your number. So 3/5 of your 1 km, 1 km, which is your 3/5. Actually, sorry, hold on. Okay, 9 and 3/5 km. So you change this to your decimal. So it's easier for you to compare. So 3/5, if I want to change to decimal, okay, remember you must change the denominator to either a 10, 100, or 1000. So since my denominator is a 5, I can multiply this straight away by 2. Okay, so I get 9 and 6 over 10 km. Then change this to your decimal, I get 9.6. So 9 3/5 km is a 9.6 km. So once I change everything to the same units and numbers, it's easy to compare. So 9.45, 9.095, and 9.6, the longest must be the 9.6. So this is the longest, and then this is the shortest. So when you arrange the distances, you should get your option number 1. Okay? Okay, question number 10. Question 10 and 11 is based on this bar graph. Now use the information below to answer questions 10 and 11. The bar graph below shows the number of computers sold in each month from August to November. The bar for the number of computers sold in November has not been drawn. Okay, so don't look at that line and think that November has 80 computers. Now, question 10, how many computers did the shop sell altogether in August and September? So let's try to find the computers for each of the months first. So for August, okay, now before that, please remember to look at your gaps or intervals. So I have 5 intervals over here, and there's 20 computers, which means that each of these gap, your 1 interval is actually 4. Okay, so for August, it's actually 2 lines above your 60, which means that there's 68 for August. Okay, and then for September, it's also 2 lines above your 20. So September, there's 28. Now October, this is 20. And then October is over here. So 20, 24, 28, 32, and 36 for your October. So how do you find for question 10? How many computers did the shop sell altogether for August and September? I add up my computers. 68 plus my 28. So I get my answer, 96. Okay, so it's option number 4 for question 10. Now for question 11, the number of computers sold in November was a 25% increase from the number of computers sold in October. Okay, so how many computers were sold in November? Now please remember, if your November is a 25% increase, means that I will plus 25%. So your October, the previous month is the 100%. Okay, increase means you plus 25%. So altogether now, my percentage will become 100 plus my 25%, means you're looking at your 1 to 5%. So this is for the month of your November. So how do you find 1 to 5% of your 36? Okay, so 1 to 5% is 125 over 100. And then you multiply this by your 36. Okay, so please do your multiplication. Now, what if let's say you have no calculator? How do I actually simplify this fraction? Simplify your 125 over your 100 first. So I get 5 over 4. Because both of these numbers can be divided by 5. And then 4 and 36 again can cancel across. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 36 divided by 4 is a 9. Correct? So I am left with 5 times by 9, which means that I get my answer, 45 computers. This is option number 3. Okay? So question 10, 11. Question 12, I will not go through. Okay, I'll go through question number 13. Now, in the figure below, ABCD is a trapezium where CD is parallel to AB. So I will annotate my diagram. Given that AE equals to DE, find angle EAB. So since these two sides are the same, I will draw in my lines, AE and my DE. Okay, so AE and DE are equal. Okay, good. So this is my isosceles triangle. So for me to find angle EAB, I need to find this angle first. So how do I find these two angles? They are the same. I take my 180 degrees. Okay. I minus off my 62 degrees. So 180 minus 62. I get 118 degrees for these two angles. So these two angles combined is 118 degrees. Okay. Then you want to find this angle here at this corner. So remember your trapezium. Some of the angles in between your parallel lines give you 180 degrees. So if I want to find angle EAB, okay, I will take my 180 minus of my 118 and then minus of my 13 degrees. Okay, so 180 minus my 118 minus of my 13 degrees, I get 49 degrees. So it's option number 2. Okay. Okay, now question 14. At first, Alex and Melissa were facing the same direction. Then Melissa turned 2 to 5 degrees anti-clockwise to face east, and Alex turned 90 degrees clockwise. So which direction did Alex face in the end? Okay, so let's draw our 8-point compass. Actually, no, 4 points is good enough. So north, south, east, and west. Okay, now this is the end point for Melissa. If you can also include, I think it's good to draw in the 8-point compass. So it's very clear when you see your compass. Okay, so we'll try to draw my X. Okay, something like this. So this will be my northwest, southwest, northeast, and southeast. So if Melissa turned 2 to 5 degrees anti-clockwise and face east, so now I must do the opposite. I'm trying to find her initial starting position. Okay, so I must go 2 to 5 degrees clockwise. This is clockwise. And then this is anti-clockwise. Correct? So I must go clockwise 2 to 5 degrees, which means that I must make a 5, I must go through 5 of the 45 degrees. So Melissa is over here right now. So this is 45, 90, 135, 180, and then 45 degrees, which means that her starting position is northwest. Okay, so this is your starting position over here. So if this is where Alex and Melissa were at first, and then Alex turned 90 degrees clockwise, means that from this position, Alex go in this direction. So 90 degrees clockwise from northwest, Alex will end up at northeast. Okay, so your answer for question 14 is option number 1. Okay, question 14. Now let's move on to paper 1 booklet B. So we'll go to question 22 straight away. The first few questions I think is quite alright, so don't need my help. Now question number 22 is on your rate. A photocopier can print 60 copies in 20 seconds. At this rate, how long will it take the photocopier to print 2 to 5 copies? Okay, so let's record down first. If your 60 copies takes you 20 seconds, 60 copies, 20 seconds. I find for 1 copy first. So 1 copy will be my 20 seconds divided by 60. Please remember to divide the correct manner. So if my left hand side is divided by 60, means my right hand side must also divide by 60. So 20 over 60 gives me 1/3 of a second. And then you want to find for 2 to 5 copies. Okay, so 2 to 5 copies. I will take my 1/3 second, I times by 225. So this will give us 75 seconds. Okay. Question number 23. The figure is made up of a rectangle and a quarter circle. So find the perimeter of the figure. Take pi equals to 3.14. Now, whenever you encounter your circles question, it's good to see what your question requires. Okay, so over here, I want to find the perimeter, which means I need to focus on the outline of my diagram. So use a highlighter, highlight out the outline for this figure. Okay, so those in yellow is what you have to find. The rectangles are easy, okay, but the problem is the quarter circle, the curved arc. How do you find that side? So for me to find this side, I must make use of my circumference of my circle. Okay, so I know that my circumference of a circle is pi times diameter. But I need to remember later on to times this by half. But how do you find the diameter of this quarter circle? You need to find the radius first. Okay, so let's find the radius of this quarter circle. I take 60 minus 40 first. So I get 20 cm for my radius. But because your question wants you to find your circumference, I must go and find the diameter. Okay, so the diameter of this quarter circle will be my radius times 2. So 20 times 2, which means my diameter will be 40 cm. So I want to find my circumference of this arc. I did 1/4 times pi times 40. And your pi in this case is 3.14. So you can replace this with your 3.14 straight away. Okay, hold on. So 1/4 times by 3.14 times by 40. So that will give us 31.4. Okay, so this is 31.4. This is 40. Now, what's the breadth of the rectangle? The breadth follows the radius of this quarter circle. So it's also 20 cm here. Once I get the measurements, I will now add them together. Okay, so 60 plus 20 plus 40, and then finally plus your 31.4. That will give us 151.4 cm. Okay. Okay, question number 24. Max is 4 years older than Sue. In 8 years' time, Max will be 22 years old. So what is the ratio of Sue's age to Max's age now? Express your answer in the simplest form. Okay, now let's find Max's age now because you're given information about Max's age. So how do you find Max's age now? Since he will be 22 years old in 8 years' time in the future. So if I want to find his age now, we'll subtract off 8 from my 22. Okay, so 22 minus 8, his age now is actually 14. And because Max is 4 years older than Sue, I can find Sue now as well. So I take 14, I minus off 4, I get 10 years for Sue. So once I get their ages, I can find your ratio for Sue to Max now. So Sue is 10, Max is 14. And then you simplify this, I get 5 is to 7. So that's the answer for question 24. Okay. Question number 25, our skip is very simple. Okay, question number 26. Okay, 26, I'll go through this. In the figure below, ABCD is a rectangle measuring 30 cm by 20 cm. E is a point on DC, and DF is equals to FC. Okay, so this is actually your midpoint. DF, this part and this part, they are equivalent. Okay, so find the total area of the shaded parts. So how do you find the area of your shaded triangles? Okay, so if I look at this, it seems hard, right? But it's actually okay. Now, how do you find the length of DF? I will need to take my 30 divided by 2 first. Okay, so 30 divided by 2, I get 15 cm for DF. Okay, now do you see that these two triangles can be combined together? The bases can be combined because the bases are both, when you combine the bases together, is 15. And you notice that these two triangles, they share the same height. Okay, share same height. What's the height of these two triangles? The two shaded, the height is 20 cm. So since the triangles share the same height, I can combine to find the area of the shaded parts. So I take half times the combined base, which is 15, and times the height, which is 20. So I get my answer, 150 cm squared. Okay, let's move on. Okay, question 27 is an interesting question. A triangle ABC is drawn on a square grid inside a box. Okay, so they give you the triangle ABC. By joining dots on the grids with straight lines, Part A, draw another triangle ABX such that the area of triangle ABX is half the area of your triangle ABC. Okay, so I want to draw the triangle ABX over here, but how do I draw that? So I look at this, I realize that these two triangles ABX and ABX and this triangle ABC, they share the same side, which is my AB. Correct, which means I must use this as my base for my triangle ABX. Okay, now how do you find what's the height of this triangle ABC? If I want to extend my base, so I extend my base, right? You will realize that the height is actually this part. This is the height, which is how many units? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So triangle ABC height is equal to 4 units. Okay, 4 units. If I want my triangle ABX to be half, the area to be half means my triangle ABX height, it must be 2 units. Okay, so I will draw my triangle such that it's 2 units for the height. So if I count, so I use this line as the height. This is 2 units, which means that my vertex must be drawn over here. Okay, then once I know X, I can draw in my line. So I will join. Okay. So I get this as my answer for the first one. Okay, that's the answer for the first one. Now for part B, draw a rhombus BCYZ such that angle BCY is less than 90 degrees and rhombus BCYZ must not overlap with the triangle ABC. Okay, let's clear off this height first. So I must make sure the angle is less than 90 degrees. So I need to draw. Okay, it's a little bit challenging to draw this way. I think it helps if you draw on your paper. So I will make use of this part here as my Y. Okay, so I will draw my line. So must make sure it touches my letter, the dot at Y. Because I want my angle to be smaller than 90 degrees. So of course, this is definitely smaller than 90. But how do I draw on the other side? So this is where you must remember, for your rhombus, the sides are all the same, they're equivalent, okay? So you can look at the diagonals. So from B to Y, you realize it's actually 2 over here. And okay, this will be the midpoint, right? Okay, so if I were to count from C to this dot, okay, to this red dot, you realize there's actually 4 units. If I use a highlighter, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 4 units to this dot. So I know that if I want to draw on the other side, I need to continue. I will count 4 units from this red dot. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my point Z will be at this point. Okay, where can I draw? Okay, my point Z will be at this point. Sorry, it's not responding. Okay, so now I can connect the lines. So I will connect from Y to Z and then from B to Z. Okay, so that will be my rhombus. If you want, you can also include the arrows to show that these two sides, they are actually parallel to each other. Same for these two sides, they are parallel to each other. Okay, so that's the answer for question 27. Okay, question 28, I will skip. I will not go through this. 29, I will also skip. Let's move on to the last question for this paper, question number 30. So advanced chairs in a hall were arranged in rows of 12. Then 57 more chairs were brought in and all the chairs were rearranged into rows of 21. In the end, there were 5 fewer rows. So how many rows of chairs were there in the hall in the end? Okay. So let's try to draw a diagram to reflect this question. The first is that chairs were arranged in rows of 12. So I will draw one circle to represent one row. So one row, there's 12 chairs. I have no idea how many rows are there. Okay, so we'll just draw dots. Now what happens is that I brought in extra 57 more chairs. So as a result, your rows, okay, as a result, after you brought in this 57 more chairs, you rearranged the chairs into rows of 21. So putting more chairs into your one row, now becomes one row got 21 chairs. Okay, but in the end, there were 5 fewer rows. Because of these extra chairs that you brought in, okay, you realize that you will now be using less rows. So 5 fewer means that I will cut off. Okay, maybe I will cut off something like this. So this part here is my 5 rows of 12 chairs. You can draw in your circle. Okay. And then this is your 21. Okay, so it should look something like this. So how do you find the rows of chairs in the hall in the end? Okay. So let's find first the extra chairs. So if I want to find the extra chairs, I will find first the 12 times by 5. You see these extras? So 12 times by 5, I get 60. Okay. Then 60, I need to remember to add my 57 chairs that you add on over here. So 60 plus your 57, I will have 117 chairs. So this is the extras. Okay, so this part here is your 117 chairs. Now what happens to these extra chairs? You're redistributing this such that your one row now has 21. So now you will compare the increase for your one row. So I'll draw in, get your one row over here. You go and find the increase. Okay, so from 12 to 21, your increase is by 9. Correct, these 9s add up together, give you your 117 chairs. So if I want to find the number of rows in the end, I take my 117. Sorry, hold on. Let me show you first the increase in the chairs for one row. So 21 minus my 12, my increase is 9. And then if I want to find the number of rows, I will take my 117 divided by 9. So I get my 13 rows. Okay, so that's the number of rows in the end. Okay, I think that's all for this week's for this paper for Henry Park Prelim examination 2021. Okay, thank you for watching the video. Goodbye.